Good afternoon. I'm J. Lenora Bressler, and welcome to the September 16th, 2019. Let's see, what is this? Oh, no, it's the 15th, 2019 edition of the Bible Delight in the Details. Today I'm going to talk about something with you that I talked to my adult Sunday school class about this morning. We are going through the letter by Paul to the Ephesians. Remember, this is the most cosmopolitan city in the ancient world, second only to Rome itself. It was the capital of the Roman segment of the empire that was known as Asia, and it had a lot of just things that it was allowed to do. It was the court system head, and it had several other particular things about it that made it a very desirable place to live. It was very cosmopolitan. Now, in typical letter form of the day, Paul had a greeting followed by a doxology or a thanksgiving. Then he is moving now in chapter 2 into the main body of the letter. And he starts right off. You know, you've heard people say, we need to have a come to Jesus meeting. Well, this is like the ultimate come to Jesus meeting, because the very first thing Paul says after he has done the doxology and all of that, the hymn of praise, when he gets down to the meat of it, he says very bluntly, for you were dead. Dead. You were dead in your sins and trespasses. Now, I want you to think about what dead means. Dead is the end of the line. Dead means there is no future. There's only the past. There's a helplessness to a corpse. There is a hopelessness to the situation of death. A corpse cannot help itself. It cannot do anything for itself. If you tried to sit a corpse up or make a corpse walk, even with all of that help, the corpse can do nothing. The living can have no communion with the dead because they cannot hear or see or respond. So if we are indeed dead, then the future is not just bleak, it's just non-existent. Now, why were we dead? Because of something known as trespasses and sins. Now, for most of us, we think those two words are synonyms, but they're not. In the Greek, trespass means to deliberately cross over a boundary. So this is where we are in direct rebellion, where we know what we should do or not do, and we do it anyway. That is the best word for that is trespass. But then we have the word sins, which a lot of people think is trespass, but it's not. The word sin in the Greek is actually a word from archery, and it means to miss the mark. Now, if you and I are playing a game of archery, we know we are trying desperately to hit that bullseye, and yet sometimes we don't. And in the Greek world, that would be a sin, a missing of the mark, not hitting the standard or living up to the expectation that is expected and demanded. There is nothing in that definition about intentionally not missing the mark. As a matter of fact, it's kind of the opposite. It's when you're trying and yet you fail. You see, when we fell in the Garden of Eden, everything about us fell. Everything was affected, not just our will to do good, but also our understanding of good and evil. And therefore, we should not trust our own gut feelings always. What we think is evil, what we think is good. No, because we might be aiming at a target, thinking, oh, that's a target, thinking we're hitting it. And we're not at all, because we can't see it in the right perspective. This is why, as Paul goes on to talk about in Ephesians chapter 2, it is God who has to reach down to us and deal with us. And why does he do it? Paul goes on to say, it is because he is of his great love for us. And in the Greek, there is a compulsion element in that. Some of you are familiar with the verse that the love of God compels us to go out and preach the gospel and try to explain to other people what we know. It's the same type of idea, that the love that God has for us was so great that it compelled him to send his son and to make a way for the dead, us, to commune with the living God. I'm J. Lenora Bressler. Visit me on the next edition of The Bible, Delight in the Details. Have a great day.